Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm your host, Ryan, and it truly feels special to have you here with us today. Whether this is your very first time tuning in or you've been part of this journey before, we're so grateful for your time. Every time we record, it feels like we're inviting friends into the room, friends who want to grow, to express themselves more freely. And if you're new here, I'd love it if you could subscribe. It might feel like a small gesture, but it actually helps this podcast reach more people just like you who are looking for ways to find their voice and let it flow more naturally.
And I'm your co-host, Priya. I want to warmly welcome you too, because without you listening, this space wouldn't mean what it does. Today, Ryan and I are going to explore something that feels very close to the heart. The idea of speaking without stopping yourself, without second-guessing, without carrying that heavy pause inside. Imagine how much lighter life would feel if words could flow as easily as breathing. That's what today is about. And yes, as Ryan said, if you subscribe, it really helps us keep creating and sharing these conversations with more people around the world.
This topic matters because it's about more than just words. We've all been in situations where the words are there, but they get trapped somewhere between the mind and the mouth. And it's frustrating, isn't it? What we're really talking about today is freedom. Freedom from that invisible weight. Freedom to express yourself without fear or hesitation. By the time you reach the end of this episode, you'll have a clearer sense of how to let words move on their own without being slowed down by overthinking.
Exactly. And what excites me is that this isn't about trying harder or forcing yourself to be perfect. It's the opposite. It's about trust. Trusting yourself enough to let go and letting expression flow naturally. So as you listen, notice how these ideas touch your own moments of hesitation, those times when you've felt stuck or silenced. Because there is another way. And together in this conversation, we're going to uncover what that feels like.
You know, when I think about overthinking, the first thing that comes to mind is that heavy silence that takes over right before you want to say something. It's like the words waiting at the edge, but they just don't jump out. There's this pause, too long, too noticeable, and suddenly, instead of being part of the moment, you're stuck inside your head. And it's not just silence. It's the sound of your own thoughts racing like, what if I say this wrong? What if it doesn't make sense? The heart starts beating a little faster, the palms get warmer, and everything that was simple a second ago suddenly feels complicated.
Yes, I feel that too. And it's strange how overthinking doesn't just stop your words. It almost freezes your whole body. You sit there, maybe with a smile that hides the storm inside, while your brain is working overtime. And the longer you wait, the heavier it feels. Almost like carrying a bag of stones that no one else can see. On the outside, it looks like nothing is happening, but inside, there's this pressure, this tension, and you can almost hear your own heartbeat echoing in your ears. It's a weight that pulls you down, even though all you wanted to do was just say something simple.
Exactly. And what makes it worse is that the pause itself becomes the enemy. You notice the silence, then you start worrying about the silence, and it keeps growing. It's almost like being caught in quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. And the thing is, no one else may even realize what's happening inside you. They're just waiting, but you're stuck in this loop, thinking too much about every little word, every possible reaction. And in that moment, instead of connecting with people, you end up battling yourself.
Yes, and what's heartbreaking is that overthinking steals away those little chances of connection. It's like standing at a doorway, ready to step out, but you just can't move your feet. And while you're frozen, life keeps moving on the other side of the door. Others are talking, laughing, flowing with their words, and you're trapped in that inner battle. The silence isn't peaceful, it's sharp. It's heavy, and it makes you feel smaller than you really are, even though deep down, you know you have so much more to share.
And maybe the hardest part is the self-doubt that grows in those moments. You start telling yourself, why can't I just say it? What's wrong with me? That little voice inside gets louder, And suddenly, it's not just about the words anymore. It becomes about your worth, your confidence, your place in that space. And that's the real weight of overthinking. It's not only about missing one sentence, it's about carrying the guilt and the frustration that follow. And it lingers, even after the moment has passed.
Yes, and that lingering feeling, it follows you, doesn't it? You replay the moment in your head again and again, almost punishing yourself for being silent. And the truth is, those small hesitations can start to shape how you see yourself. It's like a shadow that grows longer each time it happens. And that's why this matters. Because overthinking isn't just about one pause or one missed word. It's about how it slowly convinces you to stay quiet more often. And the more you stay quiet, the heavier that silence becomes.
You know, when I think about control, I imagine holding on to something too tightly, like gripping a pen so hard that your hand starts to ache. That's what happens when we try to control every word we say. We're squeezing too much, trying to make it perfect, and instead of helping, it just makes everything feel stiff. There's no rhythm, no ease. But when you loosen that grip, something changes. It's like your words start to fall into place on their own, almost as if they already knew where to go. And in that moment, you realize that flow only happens when you let go of control.
That's so true. I think of flow as this gentle river. When you let it run, it moves smoothly, naturally, without needing to push it forward. But the moment you try to block it or direct every single drop, it becomes messy. Words are like that too. When we stop trying to direct every sentence, they carry themselves. The tone, the rhythm, even the pauses, they all come together without much effort. And that's when speaking feels less like a task and more like something alive, something moving through you.
Yes, exactly. And when you're in that flow, you actually stop noticing yourself so much. There's no checklist in your head, no voice telling you, say it this way, no change that word. It's just you being present, saying what comes naturally. And the strange point is, the less you control it, the more authentic and real it feels. That's the power of flow. It doesn't just make words easier, it makes them truer because they come from a place beyond fear or calculation.
And you can feel the difference instantly. When you're stuck in control, the body feels tense, shoulders tight, breath shallow, thoughts racing. But when you're in flow, the body softens, the shoulders relax, the breath deepens, and the words slip out almost without you realizing. It's almost effortless, like your voice belongs exactly where it is, exactly at that moment. And that ease isn't just in the words, it spreads into the way you connect with others, too.
What's interesting is control often comes from fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of being misunderstood. But flow is born from trust. It's trusting that even if the words aren't perfect, they'll carry the meaning, they'll land where they're supposed to, and that trust changes everything. Suddenly you're not performing anymore, you're just expressing. And that's where the beauty lies, in the freedom to speak without holding on too tightly.
Yes, and that freedom feels like breathing after being underwater. When control drops away, expression doesn't have to be polished. It just has to be real. And in that realness, there's connection. People don't remember the perfect sentence. They remember the flow, the feeling, the honesty behind it. That's why letting go of control matters so much. Because the moment you stop forcing it, expression becomes natural, and you finally feel like yourself.
You know, sometimes when words feel hard to find, it's the patterns that save us. Think about the rhythm of a familiar song. Even if you forget the lyrics, the beat carries you along. Speaking can feel the same. When you hold on to certain tones, certain rhythms, it's like you're being guided across a bridge. You don't have to force every step because the structure is already there. And in those moments, silence doesn't feel so heavy anymore. The pattern itself gives you safety, like a hand reaching out in the dark.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's why repetition feels so comforting. When you hear yourself using the same gentle phrases, the same small rhythms, they start to feel like home. They give you a place to return to, even when your mind feels crowded or uncertain. It's not about memorizing anything, it's about leaning on something steady, something familiar. And that steadiness makes it easier to step forward, to let words come, even when your thoughts feel scattered.
And what I love about these patterns is that they almost carry you without you noticing. Like when you get lost in a conversation and realize you haven't been planning your words at all. The rhythm has been holding you the whole time. It's like walking down a path you've taken so many times before. Your feet just know the way. And the beauty of it is, once the pattern takes over, your mind finally quiets down. You stop worrying about the next word because the flow has already been created.
That's so true, Ryan. And in that flow, there's this sense of relief. You're not standing on the edge anymore, afraid of slipping. You're being carried, almost like floating. It's gentle and it's steady, and it reminds you that speaking doesn't always have to feel like climbing a mountain. Sometimes it can feel like being on a swing, moving back and forth with a rhythm that soothes you without needing to control it too tightly. That rhythm gives you trust, and trust makes the words come easier.
And maybe that's the real gift of patterns. They take away the fear of starting. Because the hardest part is always the beginning, right? But if you have something familiar to lean on, the first step doesn't feel so heavy. Once you start, the rest follows almost naturally. It's like having a gentle push that sets everything in motion. And once it's moving, you realize you didn't have to carry all the weight yourself. The rhythm was carrying you the whole time.
Yes, and when you realize that, speaking stops feeling like a test. It becomes something softer, something kinder. The tones, the rhythms, the patterns, they hold you, almost like music in the background of your thoughts. And in that space, silence doesn't feel scary anymore. It feels like part of the flow. That's why patterns matter, because they don't just help you speak, they help you feel safe while you speak. And safety is what opens the door to expression.
You know, Priya, I've been thinking about how powerful that little voice inside our heads really is. For so many people, including me, that voice often sounds like a critic. It tells us we're not good enough or that people are judging us. And when that happens, speaking English or even just expressing ourselves feels heavy. But when I imagine that same voice as calm, curious, almost like a friend who's simply encouraging me to try, everything changes. It's like the pressure melts away and I can breathe again while I speak.
Yes, Ryan, I know exactly what you mean. I remember a time when my inner voice was so harsh. I would say something in English and immediately hear this voice saying, "That was wrong, people will laugh," and the fear would grow stronger. But one day, I decided to talk back to that voice. I told it, "You don't need to be so hard. Just let me explore." Slowly, my inner voice starts to sound kinder, and once it softened, speaking felt less like a battle and more like a discovery.
That's so true, Priya. I think many of our listeners will relate to this. When your inner voice is critical, every mistake feels like a spotlight shining on you. But when that voice becomes curious, like saying, "Oh, interesting, I didn't know that word, let's learn it," suddenly mistakes don't feel scary anymore. They feel like little stepping stones. And honestly, that shift can be the difference between silence and fluency.
Exactly, Ryan. And I want our listeners to notice this shift in themselves. Just pause for a moment, take a breath, and listen. What does your inner voice sound like right now? If it's tense or judgmental, imagine turning the volume down. Replace it with a softer tone, like a gentle guide saying, "Keep going, you're doing fine." That alone can create a sense of safety, and from there, expression flows more naturally.
You know, Priya, as I'm saying this, I can feel my own inner voice relaxing. It's almost like having a supportive coach whispering, "You've got this." And for me, that shift turns nervous energy into courage. So to our listeners, I'd say, don't fight your inner voice. Befriend it. Teach it to speak kindly to you. That's where true confidence begins.
I love that, Ryan. And I'll add this. Once your inner voice becomes an ally, every practice session feels lighter. You won't just be practicing English, you'll be building trust with yourself. And that trust, that gentle inner support, is what allows you to keep moving forward without fear. So, dear listeners, treat your inner voice like your best friend on this journey. Let it cheer you on, not hold you back.
You know, Priya, when I think about speaking, I don't see it as a job or some heavy task anymore. I see it as this kind of release, almost like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. When I finally let the words out, it feels lighter, as if all the thoughts I was carrying inside don't weigh me down anymore. And I think that's something our listeners can really try to feel too. Instead of thinking, "I must say this perfectly," they can imagine simply breathing out their thoughts. No pressure, no judgment, just release.
Yes, Ryan. That image of release is so beautiful. I used to carry this tension inside, like speaking meant pushing against a wall. But the moment I began treating words like breath, something shifted. It's softer. It's not about proving yourself or performing. It's just about letting go. And when you let go, the words naturally find their rhythm. So, to our listeners, imagine your voice not as something you force, but as something that flows. That's when speaking feels almost like a gentle relief.
Exactly, Priya. And when words flow like that, it doesn't just release tension, it actually frees space inside your mind. It's like unclogging a pipe. Suddenly, ideas come more easily, and sentences carry themselves without effort. The more you release, the less you're stuck in your own head. And that's when conversations stop being scary. They become almost freeing, like stretching your body after sitting for too long.
I completely relate, Ryan. I remember moments when I was so trapped in silence, my chest felt tight. But the instant I let a word out, even a small one, the pressure eased. Speaking became like opening a window in a stuffy room. Suddenly there's fresh air, fresh energy. And it makes me realize silence holds all that pressure, but speaking releases it. It doesn't have to be big, perfect sentences. Even a small, simple phrase can carry away so much weight.
Yes, Priya, and I think that's where the magic lies, in not making it bigger than it needs to be. Sometimes a single word, spoken naturally, is enough to create that release. And once you feel that relief, your body starts craving more of it. You start trusting that speaking isn't a battle to win, but a rhythm to follow. And then, before you know it, the release becomes flow, and flow becomes freedom.
Beautifully said, Ryan. And maybe that's the suspended moment we want to leave our listeners with. Imagine this. Every word you release is like a small breath leaving your body. The more you release, the lighter you feel. And slowly, without even noticing, you stop thinking about speaking. You're simply in it, flowing, breathing, releasing. And in that moment, speaking stops being a task. It becomes something effortless, something natural.
As we come to the end of today's conversation, I just want to pause and thank each one of you for being here with us today. Time is precious, and the fact that you chose to spend it with us means a lot. We always try to make your time valuable to give you something that not only helps with your English, but also connects with your inner journey. If even one idea today made you breathe a little easier or speak with a little more freedom, then we feel we've done our job.
Yes. Thank you so much for walking this path with us today. Every episode is a reminder that we're not just talking about English, we're really exploring how to express ourselves with ease and confidence. We hope this conversation gave you both comfort and inspiration. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. We're learning, reflecting, and growing together. Until next time, keep listening, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep trusting your own voice.